Next, we have Darius Sollohub, who is the director of the School of Architecture.
I could have said that. Okay, so I am in the process of writing a book about millennials in architectural education. Millennials are the students that are in our classrooms. They are a very interesting cohort, and I think everybody in this room knows something about architectural education. But today I'm going to talk about a small part of that, this word hapticity. If you pick up your phones and look up hapticity, you will find that it has something to do with the arrangement of atoms in ferric metals. But in the realm of architecture, hapticity means understanding architecture through all the senses, through the body. And these are some strong words from Palazzma that lived experience is molded by hapticity. The essence of lived experience is molded by hapticity. Every discussion of hapticity always brings up the cathedral. I think you can all close your eyes and just hear the sound of it and feel the space of it. Personally, for me, both of my children were baptized in an Easter Vigil, which was a very powerful thing that's kind of seared in my memory. So all of the five senses are held together by this word that is really synonymous with hapticity, proprioception. It's a mouthful. And I think it's best defined by John Eberhardt, who says that proprioception is what fails you when you fail a sobriety test. So that, as you try to kind of walk, you're sort of wandering around like this. It's because your auditory cortex can't balance you. When you try to touch your nose, you hit yourself, poke yourself in the eye because your somosensory cortex fails you. And many have now written about this, and we are really the beneficiaries of many PET scans and MRIs that have studied the brain. And Harry Mulgrave has written in The Architect's Brain that all of these cortices are very, very closely linked together, and they actually speak together and integrate as one. Damasio has sort of combined these cortices with the brainstem nuclei, the reptilian brain, that part of our brain that has been with us for millions of years, and these are all interwoven so that emotions are very much connected to our senses, and I think we can all understand this. And Damasio also writes that this is not anything new, that Aristotle wrote about this, Spinoza wrote about it, Wolflin had written about it as well. And that there is a veritable pharmacy of hormones in us that suffuse these cortices with serotonin and melatonin and all of these things that kind of integrate the brain in one sort of combination of both feeling and senses. And Semir Zeki has done some very interesting work, again, with scanning, sort of understanding the neural concepts and how they relate to the creative act. And what he's discovered is that the ACC, the anterior cingulate cortex, is this executive center that's right sort of at the core of the brain. That is where the creative act begins. So that the designing that we do in studios is very much uses all of these cortices that are connected to our senses as a kind of a place to find things. And it does it by sending out a kind of a signal through this thing he calls a coarse semantic coding, which is a metaphor that goes out and seeks the solution to both problems in the beginning of creativity. So Zeki argues that creativity is almost hapticity in reverse. And I give you this picture of one of our modes classes from last year, Angus Eade. This is a September day, so the pavers are cold, their butts are on the ground, but the sun is warm, and they are looking up at a building, drawing by hand in sketchbooks. And here, Angus, clearly, the senses are applied here. Look at the shadows on their faces. You can feel the sun in their faces. They're looking at objects in light, and the eye is focusing on the hand and the object in the distance that they are trying to draw. So hapticity in reverse, and the creation through being outside plein air with feeling fully operational. And in most of our education, the next step was that you went to this, which again, this is a haptic experience. Maybe we are sort of prostrate on this big board, twirling our pencils. But most of you that know this school know that there aren't any of these left in this building. And this is not a picture from my youth from 20 years ago. This is a couple months ago at the University of Texas in Austin. which draw by hand, and look, it looks like they're drawing a cathedral there. Our studios look more like this. David Ritter is here. David, this is your 15 minutes of fame, and I took this with my phone, looking over his shoulder. I think you were drawing and watching How I Met Your Mother or something, and he's listening to it. Our studios are very much a world of screens. And this is really the rub, and this is what is sort of on my mind. And I by no means have any conclusion here, but people like Mulgrave, they don't like this. That composing an elevation with CAD is not the same, and the underlining is mine, but I think you get he could be pounding on this, pounding on this podium right now. And, Pallasma is equally sort of unconvinced that with, an obsession with the visual that screens give us produces things that are detached from the existential depth and sincerity. So, these are pretty damning things. And, the argument is that sight becomes a kind of a tyranny. The visual becomes a tyranny that basically takes over everything else, and proprioception goes away. And Mulgrave even argues that, use it or lose it, that we will perhaps atrophy these other parts, these other cortices, if we rely too much on sight and on the visual and its obsession with the visual. But you know what? Let's go back to David again, if you don't mind, David. He's got 3 screens there. If you count his phone, he's got a 4th screen. But there are, lots of models, and David produced lots of models and very, very beautiful drawings. This is part of the Habitat Studio, and this was really great work. And so who are we to say the media that we use? We live in changing times, and the media arguably should reflect those times. I don't know what you're listening to there, David, but the senses are clearly deployed here, but in a different way. So it's hapticity, Jim, but not necessarily as we do know it. So this is one of the things that we're thinking of deploying, and I'm going to show you a little Autodesk promo here. So, I submit to you that we all have one of these in our pocket. And we do, all right, I'll get back. And we do, we stroke it, we poke it, we pinch it. I speak to her, she speaks back to me. There is hapticity here. And, arguably, this, on my better days of thinking about this, we really should do this. And this is something that we would like to try. We would like to seek funding. We've been working with Autodesk. Tom Valero is class of 98 is at Autodesk University, and we're going to pursue this and try to start this in studio. And so on my good days, I think that this is the future, but then, there also is a kind of a sense of doubt, and when I, again, begin to doubt this, I think of this video, which went viral on Facebook last year. So this, the reptilian brain, right? The frog is, going after playing the squishy ant game here, but there's something that he's just not getting, right? He's not getting that. So let's call this the revenge of hapticity. So I hope I get an earful from all of you later on over drinks. Thank you very much.